A pleasant night, my king. My first story is The Husband and the Parrot. Once upon a time, there was a man who loved his wife from the depth of his heart and would not leave her in any case of if possible. So one day, however, he was forced to go on a business trip. In the city he traveled to, he saw a bird seller and bought one of the finest parrots for his wife. The seller told him that the parrot was special as he could not only talk but also narrate the events that had taken place in the absence of the person. The man took the parrot home and asked his wife to take great care of the parrot. However, the man did not tell his wife about how the parrot would report to him what happened at home while he was gone. The man passed several days at home. Then one day, the man went on an overnight business trip to a nearby town. And on his return, he got the idea to check the ability of the parrot. So he went to the room where they kept the parrot and asked the parrot to tell whatever he had seen. And the parrot told him some controversial events that led the man to scold his wife.
My second story is the story of the fisherman. Once upon a time, there was a fisherman who is so old and so poor that he could scarcely manage to support his wife and 3 children. He went every day to fish very early, and each day he made a rule not to throw his nets more than 4 times. But one day, he came to the seashore and threw his nets and felt a great weight. He thought he had caught a large fish and he felt very pleased. But a moment afterwards, instead of a fish, he only had his nets the carcass of an ass. He was much disappointed. Again, he threw his nets at second and third times, but all he got is another broken carcass of the ass and large basket full of rubbish, which he threw them back at the sea. Almost in despair, he threw his nets for the 4th time. When he thought he had a fish, he found a yellow pot. At this point, he was delighted. He thought that there is something precious inside, so he opened the pot, and to his surprise came out a very thick smoke, and it was a genie. But this is not the same genie with the others. The genie vowed to himself after all centuries that no one freed him, he would kill the person who will release him and let him choose in what manner he or she will die. And to the fisherman's horror, he think of a way for the genie not to kill him. He make a very wise way for the genie to come back inside of the yellow pot. The fisherman closed the lid, and again, the genie is back to the vase and couldn't get himself out. And to the fisherman, because of his genius idea, stayed alive.
A pleasant night, my king. Our third story is the story of the young king of the Black Isles. Once upon a time, there was a king who married his cousin who he tenderly loved. But the queen don't love him the way he loved the queen. The young king's wife was cheating on her with a slave. When the king found out, he mortally wounded the slave. It turns out, the king's wife was an enchantress, and she put a spell on her lover to keep him alive. In revenge, she cast a spell on her king, making him half man and half marble, and turned his fishing kingdom into a desert and lake. When the young king was telling his sad story to a sultan, he could not restrain his tears, and the sultan decided to help the young king, and the two developed a plan. The sultan visited the wounded slave and finished him with a sword. He lay down in the slave's place. After the enchantress beat her king, she went to visit her wounded lover, who at that point was not able to speak. The sultan spoke in the Ethiopian accent of the slave, saying he could not rest because of the daily cries of her husband. The enchantress overjoyed and asked what her lover's wish. He said he wished that the king was returned to its proper form, which he immediately did. Afterward, she asked what else her lover wanted. The sultan spoke. He said he wanted the land to turn back into what it was. She immediately did. At that moment, the sultan jumped out from the bed and cut the woman into 2. The sultan told the king that he was now free and his kingdom was returned to normal, and the two lived happily until the end of their days.